Hey, everybody.
Hello, welcome to Hero Appliance Academy. I'm Cool Carl, and in today's video, we'll be showing you how to use digital calipers to measure refrigeration tubing in a refrigerator. This will be used for Vulkan Lokrings. We'll start off by showing you how to use the calipers, and we'll jump into a presentation. So let's go to the video, and I'll see you there. All right, so let's get started and grab our calipers and measure our tubing. First, get your calipers out of the box. Go ahead and turn the caliper on. Make sure it's unlocked. And then start by making sure that you are on millimeters. That will be on the top right-hand side. Now you do have a few keys. You have the 0, the on and off, and your selection key. The selection key allows you to switch between inches, fractions, and millimeters. You want to be in millimeters when measuring for Vulkan Lokrings. Once you're in millimeters, go ahead and open and close your jaws, zero them out, and you're good to go. To measure capillary tubes, we'll zero out our calipers and bring the jaws in. We're going to use the end of our caliper jaws. This is the small area towards the front of the jaw. This area is pretty much calibrated for small diameter tubing like capillary tubes. And as you're seeing here, we're getting 1.7 millimeters, meaning this is a 1.8 cap tube. All right, now we're going to measure our standard tubing, zeroing out our calipers, of course. Now we're going to bring in the tubing to the middle section of our jaws. The middle section of the jaw is calibrated for your standard tubing, so you never want to use the middle section for capillary tubes. Remember to zero out in between measurements and always measure your standard tubing twice. You want to twist the jaws and measure again so you can get an average in case you have some imperfections in the tubing. Once you're done, zero it out. All right, on this close-up, we want to show you guys one of the potential failures that you can deal with. We're going to zero out our calipers here, bring them to the tubing. As you can see, we're at 8.5 millimeters. But if you start moving your calipers, kind of left to right and rocking back and forth, your measurements are going to drastically change. We want to avoid that. You want to keep a steady hand and keep your jaws flush to the tubing. Then we're going to bring them out, zero the calipers, and bring them back in and verify that measurement, and you will see that we are getting 8.5 millimeters. That is until you start rocking back and forth. So again, a steady hand and keeping your jaws flush, that is going to be key.
Lastly, we will discuss the proper documentation and communication of your measurements. This is crucial when you need to relay your measurements to a dispatcher, parts distributor, or even a manufacturer to obtain the correct part number for your specific size of lock ring. Primarily, you will measure for two types of lock rings: straight and reducing. These connectors serve different purposes. Straight lock rings are used when both sides of the lock ring are the same size, such as connecting a 6 mm tube to another 6 mm tube. Reducing connectors, on the other hand, are used when you need to transition from a larger diameter tube to a smaller one, like from an 8 mm to a 7 mm. When documenting your measurements, it's important to specify which type of connector you need. For straight connectors, you can use examples like 6 mm straight connector, 6 mm NK, or simply 6 mm. These will be understood as straight connectors. To communicate reducing lock rings, you might say 7 mm NR 6 mm, 7 to 6, or 7 mm to 6 mm. Another critical aspect to communicate is the material type of the lock ring, whether it's brass or aluminum. The size alone isn't sufficient. Most parts distributors or manufacturers also need to know the material type. After specifying the size, you should also indicate the material by saying either MS for a brass lock ring or AL for aluminum. Alternatively, you can write out brass or aluminum if you prefer. We hope you enjoyed today's video. From everyone here at Hero Appliance Academy, thank you, and we'll see you next time.